May 19th, 2036. Dawn arrived with a pale, watery light filtering through the pines, typical of Cumberland's coastal-influenced weather. I was already up and working while Aaliyah caught much-needed sleep. The rhythm of construction felt meditative. Select a tree, feel it cleanly, trim, haul, position. My mind wandered to the growing list of ideas for the Union. Laws that would prevent the betrayals I'd seen at Black River Crossing. Protections that might have saved Emily. Aaliyah eventually emerged from the tent, stretching and yawning. She drank deeply from one of our water bottles and ate a modest breakfast of jerky and a handful of foraged berries warmed by the fire. The Trayvane League stirred as well, packing their gear with practiced efficiency. She chatted with them for a while, asking about safe routes south. Trading stories of close calls with greenstreams near old logging roads. Aubrey offered practical advice on reinforcing gates, while Maria shared a small packet of salt as a parting gift.
"Keep building,"
Aubrey said, as they shouldered their packs.
"We'll swing by again if the road brings us. Word keeps spreading about walls going up in north. Might bring more folks to your way."
We watched them depart. Then Aaliyah grabbed her hatchet.
"Back to the lumber. Those walls aren't going to finish themselves."
Her axe soon echoed through the trees once more. I pushed hard through the morning, completing several more sturdy sections along the western perimeter. The physical toll finally caught up. Blisters reopening, back protesting, I decided to turn in for a nap, crawling into the tent and letting exhaustion pull me under. Aaliyah's urgent voice and firm shake ripped me from sleep.
"Nicholas, get up! 4 blue strains, headed straight for us! They're fast! I can't take them alone!"
Adrenaline surged. I grabbed my pistol and spare magazines. My heart was already racing. Blue strains. Agile runners with that bluish-gray pallor. Legs first to drop their speed, then headshots. Stay coordinated. This is our home. We hold it. We stepped out into the afternoon light. The 4 infected bursts from the tree lines east of the incomplete wall, moved with that eerie, loop-lopping quickness unique to the blue variant. Leaner bodies, decayed muscles, still capable of short, predatory sprints. Their moans carry a raspy urgency. Milky eyes locked on us. "Flank right!" I called, planting my feet and opening fire. The first shot cracked sharply, slamming into the Lee Blue's thigh. It stumbled but kept momentum. Claws outstretched. I fired again, showering its other knee. It collapsed in a threshing heap. Aaliyah charged with her axe, fearless now after previous fights. She met the second runner head-on, swinging low in a powerful arc that cleaved through his shin. The creature pitched forward. She pivoted and buried the blade in its skull with a wet crunch.
"One down!"
Third blue string veered towards me, unnaturally fast. I backpedaled, squeezing off rounds that punched into its hip and thighs, slowing its advance to a crawl. "Keep moving! Don't let them close!" Aaliyah darted from the side, hamstringing it cleanly before I finished it with a precise headshot. The 4th and final one tried to circle the partial wall. We pursue in sync. She crippled its legs with 2 swift axe strikes while I provided covering fire. Then we both converged for the killing blows. The pistol's final bark and the axe's decisive thunk ended the threat. We stood panting amid the fallen, the metallic scent of gunpowder and rot heavy in the air. I reloaded on instinct, scanning the trees. Clean work. You handled yourself like a veteran. Those blues won't be the last. Aaliyah wiped her blade on the grass, breathing hard but grinning with adrenaline-fueled pride.
Your tactic works every time. Legs first makes all the difference. Let's track these clear and burn them before the smell draws more.
We cleared the corpses efficiently, then returned to daily labor. Aaliyah headed back to her chopping, the steady rhythm resuming. I reinforced the sections nearest the fight, every blow now carrying extra purpose. Not long after, Aaliyah's voice carried across the clearing again, this time not an alarm, but a cautious welcome.
Nicholas! 2 men are approaching from the south trail. They seem alright.
I approached as she guided them in. Both had their hands visible, weapons slung peacefully. The older one, sturdy with a salt and pepper beard, spoke first. We don't mean any trouble. Saw the smoke from your fire and walls going up. Figure it was worth checking out rather than wandering blind. Smart move, I replied. I'm Nicholas Weber. This is Aaliyah Reese. We're building something permanent here. They introduced themselves. Colin Hartman, 30 years old, a former mechanic with sturdy eyes and callous hands that spoke of practical skills. Jared Willis, 20, lanky but eager, with the look of someone who lost much but hadn't given up hope. We sat by the fire as they shared their backstories. Colin had survived a collapsed outpost near Sebago Lake, using his mechanical know-how to keep vehicles running for fleeing groups until fuel and parts ran dry. Jared had been part of a small family farm that fell to a grain-strained herd. He escaped with seeds and basic tools, wandering ever since. Their stories resonated. Loss, endurance, the search for something stable. When they finished, I laid it out plainly. If you're willing to contribute, work the walls, gather resources, follow the basic rules of respect and mutual defense, you're welcome to join. This isn't charity. It's a union in the making. We build together, we survive together. Their faces lit up with genuine excitement. Hell yes, Colin said. Beats running scared. Count us in. Jared nodded vigorously. I can start the garden right away. If you got seeds. I assigned roles on the spot. Colin sat by the fire to rest and get his bearings after long days on the road. Jared, energized, took the watering can we'd traded for earlier and several packets of seeds, chili, cabbage, carrot, and tomato. He chose a sunny patch inside the walls, clearing ground with quiet determination and began the first rows of the community farm. The sight of him carefully planting and watering filled me with quiet hope. Later, Colin stood, gathering 5 empty bottles. I'll make a run. South River, right? Won't take long. He headed out, returning after a careful trip with the bottles freshly filled and treated. He stocked them safely in the tent, then rejoined the fire, sharing more stories as the afternoon waned. The camp felt remarkably different now. 4 souls instead of 2. 2. Axes rang, soil turned for future crops, water reserves replenished. The walls stood stronger, the fire warmer. The dream of the Yellow Jacket Union was no longer distant. Article 7's ideas of citizenship through contribution, Article 10 on resource rights, and simple duty to the hive all felt closer to reality with every new pair of hands. As evening approached, I looked over our growing settlement and felt something I hadn't in years. Real, grounded optimism. The hive was alive with quiet purpose. Sunlight slanted through the pines, casting long shadows across the growing perimeter as each of us poured ourselves into the work. Leah's axe rang steadily from the northern tree line, her rhythm strong and unrelenting as even fatigue crept in. Colin had taken over reinforcing several wall joints with scavenged wire and brackets, his mechanic's hands moving with surprising precision on wood. Jared tended the young garden plot, carefully watering the first spouts of carrots and tomatoes with our prized watering can, murmuring encouragement to the fragile green shoots as if they were fragile survivors themselves. I moved between tasks, hauling logs, fitting braces, and checking weak points, my mind turning over the fledgling structure of what this place could become. The Codex was slowly taking clearer shape in my thoughts. Rules rooted in fairness, contribution and survival. No one here was forced to labor. Everyone chooses it because the alternative was the road and eventual death. As the light began to fade, Aaliyah emerged from the woods, dragging one final heavy bundle of trimmed lumber. She was breathing hard, shoulders slumped with honest exhaustion.
"That should hold us for tomorrow,"
she said, wiping sweat from her brow. She stacked the wood carefully under the protective tarp, securing it against the night's damp.
"I'm done. Heading into a sleep before I drop."
"Rest well," I told her. "You've carried more than your share today. The walls are looking solid because of you." She offered a tired but genuine smile and slipped into the tent. Soon the canvas glowed faintly from her lantern before it dimmed. The rest of us worked a little longer by the firelight, but eventually the camp settled in the night's rhythm. The fire crackled low, and distant calls of nocturnal creatures mixed with the occasional low groan of a far-off affected. Reminders that our walls were not yet complete, but they were becoming real. May 20th, 2036. Another dawn broke over Cumberland County, soft and misty, carrying the clean scent of pine and earth. The community stirred gradually. I was already moving, checking the perimeter as pale light strengthened. Aaliyah woke up a bit later, emerging from the tent with a stretch and a yawn. She drank deeply from a water bottle, then warmed a modest breakfast of canned beans and strip of jerky over the revived campfire. The smell of simple food drifting in the morning air felt almost civilized. She chatted briefly with Colin and Jared as they rose, sharing small encouragement about the day's tasks, before grabbing her hatchet and heading back to her lumberjack duties. The steady thunk of her work soon echoed once more, feeding the wall project with fresh timber. The hours blurred into focused labor. We all pushed hard, hauling, lifting, fitting, bracing, and then, as the sun climbed toward midday, it happened. I drove the final support brace into place on the last major gap, stepped back, and realized the perimeter was complete. A full enclosure of sturdy pine walls, roughly 10 to 12 feet high in most sections, reinforced with cross bracing and sharpened stakes along the outer base. 2 functional gates, one main southern entrance and a smaller
western sally port, stood ready, secured with heavy wooden bars and simple but effective latches. The sight of it took my breath away. No longer a vulnerable camp, a defended settlement, a true beginning for the hive. I let the fire axe rest against a post and walked the full circuit slowly, running my hand along the rough wood. Pride swelled my chest, mixed with the heavy knowledge of how much more there was to do. Exhausted but satisfied, I returned to the central fire pit and sank onto a log, letting the warmth seep into my sore muscles. Colin approached, wiping his hands on his pants.
Nicholas, that $2 of yours is still available? I used to do construction work before everything went to hell. Figure I could put it to good use.
I handed it over without hesitation. It's yours while you need it. I've got a big task for you, Colin. Build us a large wooden cabin right here in the center. Something that could serve as a town hall for meetings, decisions, and eventually the heart of the community. It'll double as temporary housing until we can expand. Strong walls, decent roof, room for a table and bunks. Think you can handle it? His eyes lit up with real enthusiasm.
Hell yeah! Been itching to build something that lasts. I'll start by collecting good, straight timber.
This will be solid, I promise.
Colin immediately set to work, selected logs and laying out the foundation footprint with string and stakes. Jared, meanwhile, looked ready to drop.
Mind if I crash in the shack for a bit? He asked. I nodded. He disappeared inside for some much-needed rest. As I sat by the fire, my stomach growled, a sharp reminder that our food stocks were critically low. We're running on fumes here, I muttered. Time to fix that. I grabbed my fire axe, a few spare magazines, and a sturdy backpack. Then checked in with the others. Head on a scavenging run. Should be back before dark. Hold the fort. The journey to the nearby ruined town of Jefferson Fort took careful travel through the woods, sticking to overgrown back trails. I moved silently, every sense alert. The town was a ghost of its former self. Overgrown streets, collapsed storefronts, and the ever-present threat of the dead. I slipped from shadow to shadow, using abandoned cars and rubble for cover. Inside an old restaurant on the main drag, the smell hit me first. Thick, sickly sweet rot. 4 green strain infected shambled across the shattered tables and broken glass. Their bloated bodies oozed greenish fluid. I didn't give them the chance to moan loudly. I closed in fast. Fire axe swing in, practiced. Brutal arcs. Legs first to drop him, then decisive overhead strikes to the head. The blade bit deep into decaying flesh and bone with wet, final sounds. 4 green strains fell in quick succession. Their corrosive bile hissing where it spilled onto the old tile floor. I wiped the axe clean and began a thorough search. The haul was better than expected. 10 solid food items. Cans of vegetables, jars of preserved fruit, bags of rice and pasta, several packets of jerky, practical clothing and sturdy boots in decent condition, 2 heavy jugs of beet wine and a rare morale booster, 4 sealed tent bags, priceless for expanding shelter, a spare wind-up radio, still functional, and 1 unopened energy drink, a small taste of the old world. I packed it all carefully and made the return trek at a steady jog, constantly scanning for threats. Relief washed over me as the walls of our hive came into view. Back at the camp, I found Colin had already turned in for a rest after a productive afternoon laying the cabin's foundation. I dropped the supplies, near the fire and immediately went to work. I set up the 4 new tents in a neat arc inside the walls, creating proper sleeping quarters for everyone. Then I unboxed the wind-up radio, cranked it, and tuned it to a faint but audible station that still plays scratchy pre-outbreak music. Old rock with a driving beat. The sound drifted across the clearing, lifting the atmosphere instantly. Colin and Jared eventually woke, drawn by the music and the smell of open food tents. Climbing. Open food tins warming over by the fire. They ate gratefully. Color returned to their faces. I pulled out a slightly worn but intact sci-fi novel I found days earlier and handed it to Colin. Figure you might like this. Something to read when you're not hammering nails. He took it with genuine surprise and gratitude. No kidding! It's been years since I had a book that wasn't a survival manual. Thanks, Nicholas. It means a lot. As the afternoon wore on, the community hummed with renewed energy. Aaliyah returned from lumber work, the new tents drawing a bright smile. Jared returned to the garden. Colin re-energized, went back to collecting materials for the town hall cabin. The music played on, a small but powerful symbol that we were not just surviving, we were beginning to live. With the immediate needs handled, I felt the pull of responsibility again. Food stocks were better, but not secure for long. I'm heading out for another scavenging run, I announced, shouldering my pack once more. Keep the gate secure and stay sharp. I'll be back as soon as I can. The walls stood strong behind me as I slipped back into the trees. The hive had grown from one man and an axe to a budding community with real shelter, a garden, and the beginnings of proper housing. The codex was no longer just ideas in my head. It was taking physical form in every log laid and every contribution made. The walls of the hive faded behind me as I pushed eastward. Eastward, through the dense Maine woods. Fire axe gripped firmly in one hand and pack slung heavy across my back. The morning air was crisp, laced with pine and faint underlying rot that never felt like left the world anymore. Every step was measured, eyes scanning tree lines, ears tuned to natural sounds. Scavenging runs were necessary, but never routine. Hunger had a way of making risks feel acceptable. After several cautious miles, a thin column of campfire smoke rose above the canopy. I altered course, moving low and quiet until the trees gave way to a clear perimeter. Before me stood a solid concrete walled community, far more established than our wooden hive. Reinforced barriers, watch platforms, and a sturdy metal gate spoke of time, coordination, and resources. My heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but from possibility. I approached, openly, hands visible, axe lowered. The gate cracked open a fraction, and a young woman stepped out. Early 20s, practical clothing, a rifle slung but not raised. She had a friendly but appraising look. "Howdy, stranger," she called, voice carrying clear confidence. "How can we help you?" "Name's Nicholas Weber," I replied. "I'm from a small settlement nearby, building walls, trying to put down roots. Saw the smoke and thought it was worth a respectable hello." Not here for trouble. Just scouting the area and maybe trading information. She studied me for a long moment, then smiled and waved me forward.
Well, you've got an honest face, and you're not trying to sneak up. Come on in. We don't bite unless you give us a reason.
Inside the gates, the community buzzed with quiet activity. People tending gardens, reinforcing structures, and children under careful watch. It felt organized, hopeful. The young woman extended her hand.
I'm Mackenzie. Welcome to the Great House Union. We run things parliamentary style. Democratic, votes on big decisions, elected leadership. Not perfect, but it works better than most places I've seen.
She led me forward toward the center, where a tall, composed woman in her late 30s approached with measured steps, sharp, intelligent eyes, salt and pepper hair pulled back, and an air of quiet authority.
Neva Pope.
The woman introduced herself, offering a firm handshake.
Leader here. Elected and accountable. Mackenzie says you're a builder from nearby?
We moved into her large, well-organized tent that served as a combination office and private quarters. Maps pinned to boards, supply ledgers, a small table of chairs. I accepted a cup of clean water gratefully as we sat. I've got a small group about a day's cautious travel west, I told her. 4 of us right now. We just finished our first full perimeter walls. Calling a star of the Yellow Jacket Union. Trying to build something fair. Laws, contribution, mutual defense. No warlords, no slavery. Just people working together to survive and maybe thrive. Neva listened carefully, then leaned back and began to speak, her voice steady with the weight of memory.
Our story started in the brutal winter of 2028-29. Not far from here, in what was left of the Portland suburbs. I was 30 at the time. A former city planner who somehow survived the first waves with a small group of neighbors. We holed up in an old gray row house that became our namesake. Food ran low, infections swept through, and raiders picked off their weak. We lost so many, but the ones who remained learned fast. By spring 2029, we have grown to 23 souls. We voted on everything. We will scavenge, who would stand watch, and how to divide rations. It wasn't always smooth. Arguments turned ugly more than once, but we made a rule. No decisions without debate and a majority vote. Paige Nolan joined us that summer. Our best trader, sharp as a tack and fearless on the roads. She's the one who kept us supplied. We moved twice after major horde attacks. We lost our original gray house in 2031 to a red string breakthrough. That was our darkest time. Nearly half of our people died in one night, but we rebuilt. We found this old industrial compound with pre-existing concrete walls and turned it into something permanent. Over the years, we absorbed families, lone survivors, and even a few defectors from harsher groups who proved they could live by our rules. We hold elections every 6 months for leadership positions. I've been re-elected twice now, but I know it could change any time. That keeps me honest. We're not conquerors. We trade. We farm what we can. We defend what's ours. And we offer sanctuary to those willing to contribute and follow the vote. It's not a perfect democracy, but survival demands some hard calls. But it's ours. Parliamentary, accountable, and still human.
Her story carried the hard-earned wisdom of someone who has seen the worst and chosen a better path anyway. We talked for a long while, comparing notes on horde patterns, trader routes, the rise of groups like the Infernal Pack and Mind Wraiths. I shared fragments of my own painful journey, losing Emily, the betrayals, the long years alone. The water tasted cleaner somehow in good company. Eventually, the conversation wound down naturally. We shook hands firmly.
Safe travels, Nicholas, Neva said. If your Euro Jackie Union stands by similar principles, you'll always have friends here. Send a word if you need anything reasonable.
Same to the Grey House, I replied. The world needs more places like this. Mackenzie walked me back to the gate. I stepped back into the wild with a renewed sense of possibility. I continue east. The afternoon sun filtering through the trees. Eventually I reached Rectitude Bend, a smaller, more ruined town that had clearly seen heavy fighting. The streets were choked with abandoned vehicles and overgrown lots. The moment I crossed the outer buildings, I heard them. The fast, aggressive snarls of red-strained zombies. At least a dozen visible, maybe more in the shadows. The crimson-veined skin and unnatural speed made them the deadliest common variant. I couldn't scavenge safely with them active. I gripped the fire axe tighter, heart steadying into that cold focus I learned over 10 brutal years. The first pack of 4 charged from a collapsed storefront. I roared, "Ah!" and met them head on. Legs first, always legs first. My axe whistled through the air, biting deep into the lead runner's thigh with a sickening crunch. It tumbled, but another was already lunging. I pivoted, barely dodging claws that shredded my sleeve, and hacked his knee. Pain flared across my lips from a glancing blow, but I stayed upright. One by one, I crippled them, then delivered finishing strikes to their skulls while they thrashed. Close call number 1 came in an old hardware store. 3 Reds burst from the back room. Almost simultaneously, one got inside my guard. Felt his teeth graze my shoulder as I shoved it back and swung wildly. The axe caught it under the jaw, but the momentum carried me into a shelf. I scrummed up, breathed hard, and finished the trio with desperate, powerful blows. I pressed deeper into the town, clearing building by building. Sweat stung my eyes, my arms burned. Twice more, I nearly died. Once when a red dropped from a rooftop onto my back, its weight slamming me to the ground. I rolled frantically, elbowed its face, and brought the axe down in a crushing arc that split its head. Another time, 5 converged near the old post office. I used the environment, kicking over a rustic cart to trip 2, then dancing between vehicles for cover while I cripple legs and finish heads. 14 red strings in total. Each kill was hard won. Each victory paid for in adrenaline and bruises. By the end, I was exhausted, covered in gore, but the town was silent. Rectitude Bend was clear. I began thorough, methodical loot of every viable building. The haul was excellent. 21 substantial food items, cans, jars, dried goods, 2 bottles of sunflower oil, 7 solid construction tools and melee weapons, a sturdy aluminum bat that felt perfect on my grip. I swapped it for my secondary weapon immediately, testing a few strings. swings. Construction blueprints that could prove invaluable for the hive. 2 full water bottles and a rare find. A sealed blue strain antigen vial, potentially useful for future medical needs or study. Night was falling fast. I packed everything carefully and began the long trek back. The aluminum bat now resting comfortably against my shoulder. May 21st, 2036. Dawn found me already moving. The weight of a successful run, lightening my steps despite the fatigue. I detoured first to the Grey House Union. Mackenzie recognized me at the gate and let me in with a grin. Paige Nolan, their main trader, met me near the central trading post. A sharp-eyed woman in her 30s, with a quick smile and faster math. We haggled good naturally over my excess construction tools and melee weapons. Paige drove a hard bargain, but so did I. In the end, I traded 7 items for a generous haul. 24 fresh tomatoes, 14 potatoes, and 16 corn seeds. A strong boost for a young farm. We shook on the deal. Tell Neva the Yellow Jacket say hello, I told her.
Will do. Safe roads, Nicholas.
The journey home passed without a major incident. As I approached the gates of our hive, the sight of rising smoke and the sound of hammering brought a deep sense of relief. Jared was relighting the central campfire, coaxing flames from kindling. Colin's steady hammering echoed from the large cabin frame taking shape. Aaliyah was still asleep in one of the new tents, earning her rest after long days of lumber work. I dropped my heavy pack near the fire and began sorting supplies. Jared's eyes widened at corn seeds. These are perfect, he said excitedly. I'll get them in the ground right away. Should give us a good yield if we keep the soil white. He took the seeds and headed straight for the expanding garden plot. A watering can already in hand. I organized the rest. Food stocks now looking much healthier. Oil for cooking, tools for Colin, blueprints I studied later, the antigen secured safely, and a new aluminum bat leaned proudly against a log. The beet wine and extra tents from yesterday were already improving camp life. Exhaustion finally caught up with me in full. I crawled into my tent, muscles screaming, mind replaying the red string fights and the hopeful conversation with Neva Pope. The hive was growing stronger day by the day. New allies on the map, better supplies, real structures rising. As sleep pulled me under, one thought echoed clearly. The foundations were set. The Yellow Jacket Union was no longer a lonely man's dream. It was becoming a living community. The hive continued its steady, determined heartbeat under the main sky. Morning light filtered through the tall pines surrounding our compelled wooden perimeter, casting dapple patterns across the growing settlement. The air carried the clean scent of fresh-cut lumber, damp earth from the garden, and wood smoke from the central fire. Progress was no longer a distant hope. It was visible in every structure, every planted low, every pair of hands contributing to the collective survival. Aaliyah woke first among the early risers. She stepped out of her tent, stretched her arms high, and helped herself to a modest breakfast of canned fruit and jerky warmed by the fire. Her movements were efficient, born of someone who had learned young that rest was a luxury earned through labor.
Morning, everyone,
she called out, voice still husky from sleep.
Wood won't chop itself.
After eating, she grabbed her hatchet and headed towards the northern tree line. Her rhythmic chopping soon echoing like a promise of stronger walls and future expansions. Jared was already deep into his element. The young man moved back and forth between the expanding garden plot and the river to the south. The watering can swung in his grip as he tended the young shoots of carrots, tomatoes, and potatoes, and the newly planted corn. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but there was a quiet satisfaction on his face every time he returned from a water run. The garden was his domain, and he guarded its fragile promise fiercely. Eventually, the day's labor caught up with him. Jared wiped his hands, yawned deeply, and retreated to his small original shack for some rest, pulling the door shut behind him. Colin and Jared stirred again after their respective rests. They shared a simple meal around the fire, dried meat, preserved vegetables from our recent hauls, and then returned to their tasks with renewed energy. Colin's hammer rang out steadily as he worked on finishing touches. I woke a short while after them, my body still heavy from yesterday's long trek and fights. I sat by the fire, ate a filling breakfast, and felt the familiar pull of responsibility. Supplies were better, but never enough. I'm heading west to check out a town called Little Station, I announced. Grabbed my handgun and the new aluminum baseball bat and an empty pack. Should be back before nightfall. Keep the gate secure and stay alert. The journey westward took me through familiar back trails, moving carefully to avoid unnecessary noise. Little Station was a modest settlement that had once served as a monorail supply drop. Now it was overgrown and eerily quiet, with collapsed wooden buildings and rusted tracks disappearing into the forests. I moved methodically, clearing rooms and structures with a bat and a handgun ready. Scavenging went well. No major hordes, just the occasional lone shambler dispatched quickly. By the time my pack grew heavy, I had the gatherers all haul. 3 sharp knives of varying sizes, 5 heavy sledgehammers, and construction tools perfect for Colin's projects. A bag of worms that would prove useful for the garden, an extra baseball bat, pucks of various seeds, a large bag of barley, 2 sturdy water cans, a well-made longbow with a decent draw weight, and a powerful Desert Eagle pistol that felt formidable in my grip, a reliable shovel, and a combat helmet that offered real protection. I turned back toward home with spirits lifted, the Desert Eagle now holstered prominently at my side. As the walls of the hive came into view, chaos erupted. Colin burst from a tree line near the southern gate, running hard, face pale with fear. "Raiders!" he screamed, voice raw. "They're right behind me!" 2 armed men pursued him aggressively, one wielding a bow with an array knocked, and other swinging a bat. Their intent was clear: murder for whatever we had built. I dropped my pack instantly, drew the Desert Eagle in one smooth motion, and planted my feet. The heavy pistol bucked in my hands with thunderous authority. The first 3 shots dropped the bowman mid-stride, center mass, devastating impacts that spun him into the dirt. The second ray tried to veer close and close in on Colin. I fired twice more, the powerful rounds catching him in the chest and head. Both threats dropped lifeless before they could reach the gates. Colin staggered to a stop near me, breathing hard, hands on his knees. "Jesus, Nicholas. It came out of nowhere while I was hauling lumber." "Thank you." "You're safe," I said, scanning the tree line for more. "That's what we're building here for. No one gets taken while we're building." Breathing. I approached the fallen raiders carefully, confirmed they were dead. Before burying them, I looted what they carried. Decent clothing that could be repurposed, a functional backpack, another helmet, a second longbow, quiver arrows, and a police vest that offered solid protection. Every item would strengthen the hive. Using the new shovel, I dug 2 graves a respectful distance outside of the walls, deep enough to prevent scavengers. It was grim work, but necessary. I buried them without ceremony, then returned inside. The mood inside the gates shifted dramatically when I shared the near miss, but there was also triumph. Colin had driven the final nails and secured the roof on the large wooden cabin. It stood proud in the center of our compound, a solid, spacious building with multiple rooms, a main hall for gatherings, and temporary bunk areas. It will serve as our town hall, assembly space, and emergency houses. The sight of it lifted everyone's morale instantly. "Beautiful work, Colin," I told him, clapping his shoulder. "This is the heart of the hive now." He grinned through his exhaustion. It feels good to build something that matters. Later that afternoon, 3 new figures approached the main gate cautiously, hands visible. I met them with Aaliyah and Colin at my side, weapons ready, but not raised. The group introduced themselves. Patton Taylor, 25 with determined expression. Lily Tyler, 24, clearly siblings with similar features and practical gear. And Maxwell Roth, 29, carrying a bow and looking like a man who knew the woods.
"We're escapees,"
Patton explained after we welcomed him inside to talk by the fire.
"We came from a brutal outfit down south of the county. Call themselves the Lost Boys. Raiders, extortionists, the kind of people who take what they want and leave bodies behind. We managed to slip away during a supply run. Been moving north ever since. Been trying to put as much distance as possible between them and us."
Lily nodded, voice steady but tired.
"We're done wanting our wolves. Saw your walls and smoke. Figured it was worth the risk if it meant something better."
I listened carefully, then laid out our vision. "We're building the Yellow Jacket Union here. Contribution, fair rules, mutual defense, no slavery or tyranny. You work, you follow the basic laws we're putting together, you're protected. No one's forced to stay. But while you're here, we stand together." The 3 conferred quietly for a few minutes, then turned back with clear relief on their faces. "We're in," Maxwell said. "All 3 of us." Pat and Lily echoed the decision. We offer warm welcomes, handshakes, and introductions to others. In the immediate assignment of tents, Aaliyah showed them around with genuine friendliness, while Jared waved from the garden. Colin, energized by the growing numbers, immediately began another project, laying a foundation for a proper barn house dedicated to food storage and future livestock, if we were lucky. Lily and Patton, both claiming green thumbs from their past lives, volunteered eagerly for farming duties. They joined Jared in the garden, expanding rows and planting future plots with enthusiasm. Maxwell volunteered without hesitation for hunting. "I'm good with a bow and quiet in the woods. I'll bring back deer meat if I can find any." He checked his gear, accepted some arrows from our recent loot, and headed out through the gates with a nod of determination. As evening settled over the hive, the sounds of progress filled the air. Hammers on the emerging barn frame. Laughter and conversation from the new farmers in the garden. Aaliyah's axe still ringing in the distance, and the crackle of the central fire. The large cabin stood ready for its first real use. Supplies were sorted and stored. Graves outside serve as a reminder of the cost of safety. 4 original members plus 3 new. 7 souls now call this place home. The Codex ideas felt more urgent and real than ever. Article 7 on earning citizenship for contribution and oath. Article 12 on labor rights and voluntary work. Article 15 on equality and welcome to those who prove themselves. I sat by the fire for a long while that night, watching the flames dance and listening to the low hum of voices inside the new cabin. The Yellow Jacket Union was no longer just beginning. It was expanding, strengthening, and standing defiant against the broken world. Yellow Jacket until death. The Hive endured.
Hello, you guys. It's New England Gamer 420 here with an outro to let you all know that the series of the Survivalist strain will, of course, be continuing on forward even after the Twitch suspension will be lifted tomorrow. And another announcement that I will be planning to do a special makeup stream for my lack of efforts to censor the content on my last stream on Twitch that had resulted into my suspension. And yes, I did submit a warning and a suspension appeal, which, in a most classic, uncaring manner, Twitch decided to deny both of them. But regardless, I will still be making content for y'all, and tomorrow's stream will be a special one, as I will be doing Modded New Vegas. And yes, I know what kind of concerns y'all have. Modded New Vegas can be glitchy, and I've already gone through the test runs. And yes, the Survivalist Strain series will still continue to be made and posted on YouTube. I'm hoping that you guys do enjoy the stories, and I'm hoping you guys can share most or a lot of your opinions and criticisms in the comment sections of my videos for me to get ideas to how to improve the story and so on. As I'm already 6 chapters in of the story, and we are still in the first chapter of the reading. So again, guys, I do love and appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me, especially since after the suspension and the 1 month of returning to content creation. So again, guys, you are all amazing, and as always, I'll catch you all next time.